You know that feeling when you pick up your phone, maybe just to check the time? It's 9:00 p.m.
Hmm.
You check it, you see a notification, your thumb just kind of does that little slide thing, and then suddenly you snap out of it, and it's 10:15.
The keyboard trance happens to the best of us.
And you're somehow angry about a stranger's opinion on toast. You've bought a sweater you don't need, and you have no idea where that last hour went.
It's like sleepwalking.
Exactly. Which is the perfect setup for today's deep dive. We're looking at this dissertation by Toby E. Carson called Revealing Web Reflections. And it opens with a quote from Martin Luther King Jr. that, it hit me right between the eyes.
The one about sleeping through a revolution?
Yeah. He warned that one of the great liabilities of life is that all too many people find themselves living amid a great period of social change, and yet they fail to develop the new attitudes the new situation demands.
They end up sleeping through a revolution. It's such a haunting image.
It is.
And King was talking about civil rights, of course, but Carson applies it to the digital revolution. He's basically arguing that we've built this massive digital world, but we're completely sleepwalking through the impact it's having on, our actual souls.
And the speed of it all is a big part of why we're asleep, right? To just happen too fast to even process.
That's the key context. To give you an idea of the velocity here, Carson cites these UN stats. It took radio 38 years to reach 50 million people.
38 years.
Television took 13, the internet. It hit that same number in 4 years.
Oh.
And Facebook, when it opened to the public, added 100 million users in less than 9 months. We are adopting these things way faster than we can understand them.
So Carson's mission in this paper is to be the safety manual we all, just threw in the trash.
In a way, yeah. He's using a theological lens, specifically this idea of the image of God, or imago Dei, to ask a sociological question. If humans are made in an image, and we turn around and create the internet in our image, what happens when we stare into that mirror? Does it reflect us, or does it distort us?
And to answer that, he uses this framework I'd never even heard of before, but now I see it everywhere, the tetrad.
Marshall McLuhan's tetrad.
Right. And usually people just say the medium is the message, nod like they're wise, and then move on. But Carson actually breaks it down. It's not about the content, is it?
No, and that's the biggest hurdle for people. We think the message of Twitter is, the tweet you just read. But McLuhan says the message is what the tool itself does to your nervous system.
Like a car.
Exactly like a car. The content is the groceries in the trunk. But the message of the car is that you now see the world as roads and parking lots. It changes the scale of your life. It literally extends your foot into a gas pedal.
Okay, so if the tool changes us, the tetrad is how we figure out how it's changing us, like a 4-part checklist.
Think of it as a lens. It lets you see the hidden effects. It asks 4 questions about any technology. What does it enhance? What does it retrieve from the past? What does it obsolesce or push aside?
And the scary one.
What does it reverse into when you push it to its absolute extreme?
Let's do it. Let's run Twitter through this tetrad. So the first big theme Carson tackles is relationships.
Okay.
So first question, what does Twitter enhance? That seems pretty easy. Connection, speed.
Right. It enhances what he calls social awareness. You can maintain these weak ties with hundreds of people at once. It gives you incredible breadth.
But here's where it gets interesting with the retrieve part.
Yeah.
You'd think tech is all about the future, but Carson says it brings back something really old.
This is one of my favorite parts of the paper. He says Twitter retrieves the oral culture of the village. Before the printing press, news was word of mouth, rumor, public shaming in the town square.
Immediate and emotional.
Immediate, emotional, and very public. Twitter retrieves that gossip network, but then it scales it globally.
So we're back in the village square, but the village now has 1 billion people in it.
Which leads right to what it obsolesces. If you're retrieving that noisy, immediate village square, you are pushing aside the private, slow, deliberative space.
The letter-writing mode of thinking.
Yes. The idea that you'd think for 3 days before sending a response, that's gone.
I feel that loss. The pause is gone. And that brings us to the reverse. When you push this instant connection to its limit, what does it flip into?
Disconnection. It reverses into tribalism. Carson points out that while Twitter is broadly relational, it is not deeply relational. The research he cites calls it the broad but shallow problem.
Broad but shallow, like a really wide puddle.
And because it's shallow, it lacks the safety you need for real vulnerability.
Right.
We see people oversharing online, and we mistake that for being vulnerable.
But it's not.
Carson argues it's performance. It's a broadcast, not a confession between two people who trust each other.
And that connects to the disinhibition effect. I always just thought people were meaner online, but the tool itself is making us meaner.
The tool removes the physical cues for empathy. If I insult you to your face, I see you wince. I feel your reaction. The screen buffers that. It creates disinhibition. So the tool that was designed to connect us
Reverses into a tool that makes it incredibly easy to dehumanize each other.
exactly.
Wow, okay, that's a depressing start, but it's a perfect segue into the next reflection. Narcissism. I feel like narcissism is the word everyone throws at social media. Oh, look at the selfie generation. They just love themselves so much.
It's the common critique, yeah. But Carson completely flips it. He goes back to the original Greek myth of Narcissus. And most people get that story wrong.
How so? The
Yeah.
guy falls in love with his own reflection and then dies.
Right. He does. But the key detail that McLuhan and Carson pull out is that Narcissus didn't know the reflection was him.
Wait, what?
He thought it was another person. He fell in love with an image, an object, that he mistook for someone else.
So he wasn't obsessed with himself. He was obsessed with a projection of himself.
Correct. And that's the insight. When we curate our profile, we're building a kind of digital golem. We edit the photos, we craft the bio. We don't fall in love with our messy, complicated selves.
We fall in love with this perfect other that we built.
Yes. We become, in McLuhan's words, servo mechanisms to our own avatars.
Servo mechanisms. That sounds like we're the robots in that relationship.
Well, think about it. The effort you put into maintaining that image, you are working for it. You're servicing the profile. Carson contrasts this with the theological command to love your neighbor as yourself. Healthy self-love is one thing. This is different.
This is idolatry, worshiping a false image.
That's the argument.
Feels so accurate. You spend 20 minutes getting the perfect filter on a sunset photo, and you miss the actual sunset because you were so busy servicing the image of the sunset.
And this service to the image is what drives the next piece of the tetrad, addiction.
The keyboard trance. We talked about it in the intro.
Yeah.
But is it really an addiction, or is it just, a lack of self-discipline?
Well, Carson brings in this theologian and psychiatrist, Gerald May, who argues that humans are, quote, inherently addictive.
Inherently.
His idea is that we are just wired for attachment. We are constantly looking for something, anything, to anchor our desires to.
So if we don't anchor to something meaningful, we'll just anchor to the device in our pocket.
It's the path of least resistance. The research he cites talks about checking behavior. And it turns out people are often more addicted to the ritual of checking the device than to whatever content is on it.
It's like checking the fridge when you know there's no food in it. You just have to look.
It's a nervous solicit for our soul. And if we apply the tetrad, the phone enhances accessibility to information. But pushed to the extreme, it reverses into partial continuous attention.
I know that feeling.
You're never fully present anywhere because part of your brain is always listening for the next ping.
That partial continuous attention thing,
Yeah.
that's the brain rot, isn't it? Which leads us to the section Carson calls infantilism. Are we literally getting dumber?
Dumber might be too blunt. But we are definitely changing. This is the whole battle between deep reading and hyper reading.
The dissertation mentions Nicholas Carr's book, The Shallows. And I've noticed this in myself. Trying to read a dense book feels physically harder than it used to. My brain wants to click something.
That's obsolescence in action. The internet obsolesces the long, sustained, linear thought process. It retrieves our ability to skim. But Carson is fair here. He points out we're also gaining skills. We're better at pattern recognition, at rapid filtering,
So we're just trading depth for speed.
and complexity for simplicity. One author he quotes calls it the ethos of easy, fast, and simple. We want our news in 280 characters, our theology in a meme.
But Carson does this little jujitsu move with the word childlike, doesn't he?
He does. He makes a distinction between being childish, demanding, impatient, shallow, and being childlike.
Which is a spiritual ideal.
Right. Wonder, trust, simplicity.
So the brevity of Twitter could actually be a good thing.
It could be. A haiku is brief, but it's deep. An aphorism is brief, but wise. The medium forces simplicity. The question is whether we use that to find clarity or just to avoid nuance.
It feels like everything we're talking about, idols, rituals, images, it keeps going back to this idea that the tool is spiritual. Which brings us to the final and honestly the weirdest part of this deep dive. the mythic dimension.
This is where we have to sort of suspend our cynicism. We think of the internet as just wires and servers, hard tech. But Carson argues that for the user, for us, the internet functions as a myth.
And when you say myth, you don't mean a false story.
No, not at all. I mean a story that explains the world and our place in it. Think about the global village again. What does the internet retrieve? It retrieves the feeling of magic.
Magic.
Well, think about it. You press a glass surface and food appears at your door. You speak into a box and someone in Tokyo hears you instantly. It destroys time and space.
That's a counterfactual reality.
It transcends the physical laws we live by every day. It feels like magic.
Okay, so it feels like magic. But how is that religious?
Well, what are the classic attributes of God? Omniscience, all-knowing, omnipresence everywhere at once. The internet mimics those attributes for us. It offers a secular version of the heavenly city, a place where we can leave our messy, broken bodies behind and exist as pure mind.
We upload our consciousness. That seems, I don't know, wildly ambitious for a platform that's mostly used for arguing and cat videos.
But the desire is there. That's the whole point. The content might be cat videos, but the medium is promising transcendence. It promises that you can be more than just a person in a room. You can be a global presence.
So when we log on, we're not just checking our messages, we're participating in a liturgy.
A digital liturgy. We have our public confessions, which are status updates. We have our penance, public apologies, our excommunications, which is blocking, and our worship, which is likes and follows.
That is both terrifying and fascinating. And if the internet is a world we inhabit, then what do we do with it?
Well, Carson argues that because the digital world is part of our reality, the divine must be there too. We see people rallying for justice, offering genuine support, creating communities for people who are marginalized. That's the enhancement of community at its absolute best.
So we've gone through the tetrad. We see the good, the bad, the reversal. We know we're sleepwalking. How do we wake up?
The first step, he says, is to shatter digital dualism.
Define that for me.
Digital dualism is the false belief that the online world is fake and the offline world is real. You know, when we say in real life or IRL. Carson's point is, stop that. It is all real life.
So the hate you type is real hate. The time you waste online is real time gone from your one life.
Exactly. And once you accept that, you have to take responsibility for it. You can't just say, oh, it's just Twitter. It's not just Twitter. It's you.
So the dissertation doesn't end with a delete your account message.
Yeah.
It's something more nuanced.
It ends with a call to inhabit the space with intention. If we've created this world in our image, and it's currently reflecting back our narcissism and addiction, we have the power to change that reflection.
We have to put better things in front of the mirror.
We have to bring that childlike wonder, that potential for deep relationship, into the digital square. We have to actively work to stop the medium from reversing into its worst self.
It sounds like we have to stop being servo mechanisms to the tool.
That's the choice. You can be the user or you can be the used. The tool is going to extend your nervous system no matter what. The only question is, what kind of system are you extending? One of anxiety and division, or one of grace and connection?
That is a lot to think about the next time I find myself scrolling at 2 in the morning.
Maybe just put the phone down at 2 in the morning. That's also a good start.
Fair point. Well, we've unpacked the tetrad, we've stared into the digital mirror, and hopefully we've woken up a little bit from the revolution. Thanks for guiding us through it all today.
My pleasure. Don't sleep through it, everyone.
See you on the next deep dive.